We're good? Okay, fast with the pledge. Trustee, you lead us in the pledge.
Yes.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody else. Okay, first thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes for February the 17th, 2026 meeting of the Warren Township Advisory Board. Has everyone been able to review the minutes? Yes. Everybody's in favor? Okay, can I have a motion for approval?
Make a motion.
Jesse.
I'll second.
Okay, next on the agenda is the Bureau of Township first quarter report of all funds.
Okay. I'll just briefly go over them, and then if you have any questions, let's let me know. The first one is the rainy day fund. This is where we're taking all of our township assistance rental out of right now. The next fund is the township fund.
We get the packet.
Yeah, they got them.
Okay.
Oh, they have them. They have them. I'm sorry, they're not in order. Coming back. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay, we're taking money out of rainy day fund.
Correct.
Township assistance.
Yes.
We don't have enough money in there. In township assistance, so we have to go to rainy day fund.
The reason being is, if you remember, we had to set up this new fund, the road fund.
On the road.
Okay. And, right, and the township assistance and the rate, no, township assistance is the only fund that we do not have to, take money from. We have to do 30% from the general and 30% from the rainy day, whatever's left at the end of the year. So what we've done was, so instead of putting it in the road fund, we took the money, we started paying rent out of the rainy day. Take that fund down, but build up township assistance to where next year we'll have money in there. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
It does, but
If we had allowed the fund to stay where it was, it would have gone into the road.
right, which goes back into the state, am I correct?
Not the state, it's called the road fund.
So who controls that?
That would be controlled by the trustee.
I was kind of confused on that because I thought that money was going back to the state if we didn't spend that money.
No, it's any unrestricted funds. The only unrestricted funds we got is the construction bond and our not rainy day, but township assistance. The restricted ones are township assistance. The unrestricted is the township fund and the rainy day fund. Since we had $450,000 into our rainy day fund, you take 30% of that is quite a big chunk. And you as a board have kept that money in there for emergencies and stuff. So what we've done is decided to use that money when we did our budget last year to pay for some of the township assistance rentals.
Well, I understand that, but my main concern is when we start taking money, just like say something major happens. Like we have to put people up in a hotel or something like that because the tornado came through and tore up things. You know, we have to let them cover that.
Oh, yeah.
We will have the money, but if you would leave this $400 and some thousand in there, 30% of it would go into the road fund and we could not use it for township
I can
assistance.
understand that.
Okay, so this way we are trying to protect the township dollars
So
to
that
be
money,
able to be used here in the township.
So the road fund, is that a separate account,
It's not a separate account, it's a separate fund.
separate fund? But that goes into the general fund?
Yeah, he stays there.
It stays right where it's at. Okay, I got you. Okay, but we only could use that 30% for the road fund. Anybody else have any questions?
I want to just bring your attention to, the report itself. This is what is budgeted, what has been approved. And over here, it says year-to-date expenditures is what we spent. Then the next column is what our remaining balance is. And over here to the side shows you how much we have used of the budget this year. So you have the township fund, you have the small claims court fund, you have township assistance, and you have the construction bond.
Do we have any money left in the construction fund?
Yes, we do. At the end of March, we had $14,121.21. The very last page. That's the last page of your packet.
Which we don't have any of that to spend, right?
Yeah, we can spend the 14,000.
Well, I know, but I mean, we have any upcoming projects to use for that, with that? No.
Not at this time.
Okay, that's just in case we, in the event that, yeah.
So if we don't spend that $14,000, what that money is?
Well, we have to spend it, I think it's 2 years.
2 years. And
In
this
2 years, yes, and
Funded
we decided that we would wait in the event that there was an event to take place.
I remember when we did the bond.
Right.
Has it been 2 years? Has it been 2 years yet?
Yeah, actually, we spent all except for 25,000 and
Yeah, that general, yeah,
yeah.
right that, around that
and you
figure,
could carry that over from that.
Oh, okay.
because it's such a low amount.
Oh,
That's why we were
okay.
able to do it, because there wasn't a huge amount.
Yeah, we're going to do that in the event that something did take place.
So all our construction work is, we've been doing like houses, mountain work and furniture and all that kind of stuff. This side and the court side too.
Well, actually, I think the court has got a grant for the furniture within the east side. But the furniture you had in the rooms down the hallway
And
was grant.
301 and 302 and 300, actually, all that furniture was paid for by grant funds. That was part of a grant.
But the furniture in the courtroom itself.
Now, the furniture in
Not
the courtroom, that
but
was,
the office.
so the furniture in the courtroom was actually purchased with the construction bond.
Right,
And then I think that the staff got new chairs and
Right,
some
and you also just
equipment.
got
Yeah.
new scanners.
Yes.
The court
and
got new
equipment.
scanners, a new TV stand.
Yeah.
That all came out of the construction bond this year.
The only real outlier I see is in partnerships. Is there any reason why all of our partnerships are so front loaded to the year?
actually, most of those folks who operate not-for-profits want to know when they get ready to do their budgeting, want to know what they are, what they're gonna, what funds they're gonna have, what they're really do their plan. We don't have to, there was 3 of those who did not receive what they normally receive because I didn't know what financial situation would be. So the firefighter, City of Lawrence Family Assistance is one of those. And what we decided to do was wait until August. And then, yes, we're okay financially, it will give them to them.
Do that fund comes out of the general fund, or other stuff is, towards like your MOU, something else?
Yeah,
Do they come out of township assistance funding?
the
Or do it come out
assistance, assistance. Mhm.
Any other questions? If you do, just feel free to give me a call if you see something later. Or Steve, Gary.
There,
Thanks.
No, I see something a little bit different with your comments. Normally, you don't do that until after the meeting. Something that's been added.
actually, it is actually, my comments are actually part of the quarterly report.
Okay.
Okay, because this is something that I believe Mr. Carroll and as I said, as well as Ms. Anderson, as to, we came to the board to get changes to some of our guidelines, and quite often with the past few months, we hear board members have said what impact has it had on what the impact has been to assistance and so we have this copy. Becky, did you? Sure.
Yeah, they got it. It's the very last page in your packet.
See, can I ask a question?
Mhm.
Okay, like with our guidelines,
Mhm.
I know we've been having problems with the cemetery. Has that been resolved or?
Yes, for the most part,
What was the question?
about funeral homes, because funeral homes do business with us because of what our reimbursement rate is so low. And we had some of them come back because
Because I know some big sectors was that there's the oversized, state that right.
You said,
They was
yeah.
having a problem with that. And, we raised proof enough.
That was in the cemetery.
In the cemetery, is that enough to cover that? It was oversized. We need to raise the guidelines.
That one needs to be changed.
We need to do it now.
That's,
well, not today.
Well,
Well, let us take a look and make some fresh calls to the funeral homes and probably get their new rates.
Well,
Again, at our next meeting, we can come back with a request.
Come see, save costs.
But on to my report, and I'm really thankful the board for allowing us to change the some of what the charges was, and what we were allowed to do. Because if the top graph, what it shows you is that the blue bar is the shelter. The shelter. That's up 225%. We've approved 225%. So, because those got changed, still out. So, yeah, we got, and the total approval, 550%. Now, that's the first quarter, the first quarter of 25 to the first quarter of 26. Because we had to do the changes in 25 in January, December and January of 25. So.
Can you disaggregate those numbers for us? I'm sorry.
Say aggregate.
You disaggregate, so it's like the percentage, if it's at 500%, can you tell us how many people that is?
Actually, that's a number.
Or can you, it's like for the people, it's in front of us, but I mean, for the folks that
I know
are
what
here.
you're asking for. And actually, we're gonna come back with the number of applications that are, And, fire insurance is sometimes the number of dollars that is going out that was not going out.
So we're giving more money out now. than what we have
Yes,
to do.
because of the changes to that. So we get that kind of increase in the number of approvals as well as the assistance. That means that we're heading in the right direction. We're doing so I really appreciate the board's support.
I appreciate that as well. I just want to make sure that it's said out loud and that it's noted that those utility approvals that are up 550%, that's up 550% to 12. So it's, again, it's not many. I just want to make sure that people know what the actual numbers are.
Yeah, the numbers are not that high, but the percentages are, but we're gonna come back. We're gonna take a look at the second quarter, then we're gonna come back and might have some.
Which that will be around just.
Mhm. Yeah, we may come back and pass those additional changes once we see what our funds are. If we want to get at least 6 months.
But we ready to do the budget for 2027. Would that help us? So what we're doing for 2027.
Oh, yeah, oh, absolutely. It's the best thing we have.
Should we look at that in July?
We start budget in August.
Sure.
Or you started in June?
When we get to numbers.
Again, my understanding, and I'll know more here when I get back from vacation and go to the meetings, but my understanding is Gateway has changed. I should have the numbers earlier than I'm used to getting.
Okay.
But I'll know more once I go to this new 2.0 Gateway, because they said everything's gonna be out there on the website, so we can grab it. But I'll know more here in May, 1st of May, and exactly how it's gonna work. But usually we start in June, looking at the numbers. Come July, we kind of then sit down and start thinking where we're going to be going forward, and that's when we start having our meetings with the TLGF and all that.
Okay, so then we'll have some clarity about where we're gonna be at by July, August.
That's usually when we start, we have a good idea where we are at. That we could then in September, that's when we have our public hearing. But between July and September is when we really prepare the 27 budget.
We still have to have the budget set to Gateway in October or is it November? I can't remember.
1st of November, usually we try to get it done by the end of September. You know, have our public hearing at the beginning of the month and our the approval of the budget by the end of September.
Good.
Unless the board wants to change it, I mean,
Well, are we still on the trustees conference?
Sure. I'm sorry, Mr. President.
What, continue.
Yeah, I just want to understand if the individual's assistant, is that the total number of people that have been in the building?
Who have actually not necessarily in the building, because 97% of our folks are able to access our services and complete the application without even coming to the building. And I might add that we are the only trustee's office in the state of Indiana, 100,000 trustees, the folks does not have to visit the office.
I just want to understand the difference between the individual's assistant versus the approvals. They're both listed here, and I'm not sure I understand
Okay,
the,
those are the number of families, not number of members in it.
okay.
Those are, one individual might be applying for a family of 3 or 4.
Does this number, and I guess what I'm asking is, does this number include people that have been denied services from the office?
No, these are all approved.
So do we keep track of the denials?
Yes. Yes, And actually, when that study was conducted, I forgot who conducted that study, the judge, remember, I'm sure. The study that was done, on the trustee's office and the number of approvals and denials, the name of the group.
Oh, are you talking about the Greater Interfaith Multicultural
Yes.
Alliance?
Yeah, that group did the study, we were at 34% approval rate. At the end of the year, with the board's support and the changes made, we were up to 41%. That's not where it should be, that's not where it could be, but we are making moves.
But we are making some progress.
Yes, right. And we'll continue to do that.
So the next time we do our quarterly report, then we should have a better understanding of what the approval rate is.
Yes. Yes.
Any more questions?
I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next on the agenda is resolution 2026-06, and that is dealing with the judge.
Good evening, everyone.
Even judge.
All right, so I should be brief. As you all know, we have partnered with the city of Indianapolis to create a housing stability program called the Indianapolis Housing Stability Program, where they have asked the Eviction Diversion Initiative that we created in Lawrence Township to become the navigators for the city's program. And so with that, they had given us some funding. As you all might remember, it is a total of $400,000 for the year. $200,000 has already been allocated, so we've been trying to hire up navigators for the courts. And so what you'll see in this resolution are the 3 navigators that we have onboarded since the beginning of the year. And we wanted to make sure that they were listed on the resolution as township employees, that these funds are being paid, or excuse me, these navigators are being paid by those Indianapolis Housing Stability Program funds, along with some of the other grants that we have also been awarded. We were, as you may also know, we were awarded an Indianapolis Foundation grant. Total amount was $25,000, but once the fiscal agent took their portion, we did have, the total that was distributed to the township was $17,500. So that is also the second grant that you see listed on that resolution for the navigator. And so essentially, what is being paid for out of these funds are the total of 6 navigators. And then the Indianapolis Foundation funds goes towards the payment of a navigator, and we are pushing those funds, if I'm saying this correctly, towards their insurance being covered. Is that correct?
No, it's their salary.
Oh,
That's
we ended up doing it with salary.
We did it with salary.
I misspoke, salary, everybody. So, again, not as an expense to the township and, as a result of us getting those grant funds in to, bring those people on board. Okay? Yes,
So these grants do cover the total employee cost, there's no cost to the township to have.
that is correct. And I set aside a portion of those grant funds to, for unemployment, should at the end of those, grant funds, anybody needs to file an unemployment claim, we still have funds available to pay those unemployment claims.
Otherwise, that was a concern.
I understand.
Now, when it comes to medical insurance, who covers that?
Covered under this,
Under the grant
funds,
money.
right, under the grant money.
Will there be enough funds from the grant to cover how many weeks of unemployment?
Yes, so what we did was we allocated $40,000 in grant funds and $20,000, as I said in my response to you in my email. With our part-time employee funds, we have those covered. And yes, they will cover the unemployment claims for the number of weeks.
Okay. Does that?
For 2026. Thank you for that, yes.
But I know at the end of the year, no, it was this year that we allocated $40,000, I believe, to cover unemployment compensation. Is that $40,000 included? Where is that? Is that for, when
So-
might it be used?
So I think what you're trying to ask, and let me make sure I'm clear. So for 2026, if anyone should part ways with us and then file for unemployment, we have the funds to cover that. If you are trying to look forward to 2027, then we will work in our budget when we are planning our budget for 2027. We will allocate funds and designate funds either through grant funding, through the city's funds, as we are, I would say, getting our budget together with them as well, so that we will go forward in 2027. Should the grant or should the programs continue? Yes.
Okay. Like say if an employee decide they want to leave on their own, we do not pay unemployment insurance.
So if they part ways and decide, let's say they've got better employment, so they change jobs, then there would be no unemployment claim made because they're going to a different job. And so I think the only other thing that you have to be concerned about would be, should that person not be successful in that future job? Should that person not be successful in their future job and they may be unemployed at a future date? I don't know how far back the state will go to pay claims, but we will have funds allocated in reserve for that.
But it's not a risk when you leave a job, you go touch somebody.
Oh, absolutely, and we can always fight it, don't get me wrong, we could decline to pay it because they voluntarily, resigned and moved on. Don't get me wrong, but it will be a determination by the unemployment insurance.
The judge is correct. The judge is correct.
No. I haven't been in job unemployment, so I just don't know how.
That's a blessing that you've never been in that predicament, so.
When I lost my job at Western, that's no.
My concern is still concern that I had to that we allocated $40,000 to pay for unemployment for employees who does not work continually for the township. Okay. We are paying employees that's doing work for Decatur, Franklin, and all the other townships that are participating in the fund. And that goes against I think that's why we have to establish identity as to where you live, what township you live in, because the tax dollars of those residents of that township is what supports the office. So our Lawrence Township residents are now supporting activities, and it's a great activity, I support it 100%, that is going on in Franklin and the other townships that are participating in the program. So I'm of the mind that we should ask, or at least make it part of the negotiations, that if another township court is participating in this program, then they should be part of the process. And hey, you know what? And like I said, my concern too, and I've asked Ray to look into it, our attorney, to look into it, because if the individual from Warren Township comes to the Lawrence Township or trustee's office and submits an application, the law prohibits us from.
That's what I'm saying, I mean, because you have to live in the township,
Right.
okay, to get township assistance. Like, if I live in Warren, I can come to Warren Township
Right.
and ask for township assistance stuff. My point is, when you guys have your navigators and all that, are they just strictly working in Lawrence Township, or they're covering everybody who outside the township?
So the The employees are Lawrence Township employees because they're paid through our payroll. The township acts as a fiscal agent, all right? And so that is, they are basically a pass-through. They are simply an administrator of payroll. And so they are, while they do receive township benefits, the city is paying for those benefits. And so I'm not quite sure what the trustee's talking about because number one, we've had 3 different MOUs and contracts that have been reviewed by our township council, along with the trustee, along with myself, regarding how this is done. And then secondly, I think what the issue that was raised the last time was that township assistants employees must be township residents. That is not the same for the courtside residents. And so they are employed by the Lawrence Township Small Claims Court and the MOU. And while I understand that payroll is administered by the township, that is a difference in designation. So I'm not quite sure, I'm not quite sure what he's referring to, but we have made sure through other grants that, and for example, when we had the Bar Foundation grant, they set aside $90,000 for unemployment claims. And once those employees had fallen off and the grant had terminated, then that $90,000 paid some unemployment claims, not at an expense to the township. And then once their unemployment had expired, then those funds reverted back to the Bar Foundation. We've done the same thing to make sure that that same allocation is done under this program to ensure that should anybody file a claim, it would not be paid at the township's expense.
Mr. President, I'm talking specifically about the $40,000 that was transferred into the court's budget for pay unemployment claims.
Are you talking for 2026 or 2027?
The year, I don't know what year that covered.
We've got that done for 2026.
That 40,000 for 2026.
Yes, sir.
But it will be used to pay unemployment for the navigators who are working in other townships, correct?
Correct, because those are funds that we have set aside through the grants to make sure that anybody that parts ways and then files an unemployment claim, then they would then be paid for with those funds.
So that 40,000 was grant fund, the one
Yes, sir.
from.
That is correct.
Well,
Any other questions?
well, my understanding, all the grant money that you have received goes into that fund, distribute grant money. So it's not coming out of the township, it's coming out of the money that you give
Correct.
to the grants.
Yes.
You got questions?
I think I got that. I think I understand.
And feel free to ask questions later, come by, and we can always go through the books as well, okay?
Thank you, Judge.
All right.
Thank you,
You're
Jerry.
very welcome.
Thank you very much.
Can I have a motion for approval?
I'm going to approve resolution 2026-06.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Alan Jesse, okay, all in favor? Motion approved. Okay, this is something that we haven't done, but something I figured that we should start doing, and that's having public comments. Do we have any comments from the public? So you already gave us enough word about that, the future meeting dates. I'm looking at, what about the second Tuesday in July?
That's a nine.
So the ninth,
Yeah.
In July?
July,
Yes.
No,
that's on the seventh.
14th. Oh, I'm looking at Thursday. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute, the 14th?
Second Tuesday, yeah, that would be the 14th. Just look at Tuesday.
Yeah.
7th, first Tuesday's the 7th, the second Tuesday's the 14th.
14th.
Yeah.
everybody still good at 5:30? Is fine?
I have a baby due on the 12th.
Oh,
Really? You're an excuse. Maybe take top priority.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do it on the 14th, right?
5:30?
5:30. Congratulations.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Leslie?
Yes.
All right, so, I know that if we are not meeting till July, where does that put us with starting our budget discussions? Because right now I know the court is at, we're spot on with our spending only a quarter of our budget thus far. But I do want to start with our budget discussions early enough so that we might be able to, identify, any concerns or, requests.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
if I might answer that one, because Mr. Chairman and I we'll start that process with Becky a lot earlier than that meeting.
Okay,
So
I just
we'll be in the office.
I feel like we were gonna be behind schedule if
I
we
think
wait
we
till
optimized
July.
it this last year. I think we did a better job than in years prior. So we're gonna start. Sharon and I will start earlier.
All right, thank you.
But yeah, for
Okay,
the
all
Go
right.
ahead, Josh.
So, in regards to the funeral, shouldn't we maybe meet a little sooner, so that way we can plan maybe, at least maybe a month or so out, a couple months out, rather than 3 months? That way, we're able to deal with this a little sooner.
But we could get, I'm sorry.
No, that way, they'll have a month or so to get some information to bring to us, so maybe, we can vote on it then. That was just an
Well,
opinion.
We can, I can call a meeting for us in June if you guys want to. So we can do that. Since my main concern was worried about the second quarter report.
What we can do is we can gather the information and get it to you in email, and you can go over it and decide what you want to do. Ms. Betty, will you take care of that, make sure that Betty gets the information faster?
Well, why don't we do this? Let's set a meeting up for June. Okay? And we'll go with the second, Tuesday in June, right next week.
Second Tuesday in June, which is the 9th
Yeah.
at 5:30.
At 5:30. Is that okay? Is that good for you guys?
And this will just, at this point, just be on information on funerals, right?
Right, should we raise the township guidelines?
Okay.
Now that's, you guys come up with some next week.
Excuse me, should we also include, for apartments and
That's something we could look at.
two, in terms of,
But I don't think, isn't Betty, cemeteries and all that in the rental apartments, that's something separate?
It's separate, it's separate.
Yeah,
But we
actually,
need
we
to look
looked
at
at,
everything.
yeah, we looked at that last year, and that is a shelter, here, but
But is it, this is a
I
new
think
year
that
and,
we
Things have gone up.
we try to go out and get the prices every 2 years.
is that adequate? Every 2 years?
I think so, because this is something we have to physically do. I think, if we were, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Your Honor.
I was gonna say, if it would be of any assistance, we could also ask the navigators to talk with the property managers that they're in court with, and maybe be able to get some ranges on apartments, so that, it doesn't necessarily have to be on, Miss Betty to actively, go try and find everybody, because she's one person.
Judge, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
I appreciate that very, very much.
So
Did you
it's
just
probably,
pass it on to us and we
Yeah.
can do all this? Thank you, Judge.
Everybody okay with it? It works?
So we're going to June,
It will
then,
go to June 14th, that's it, right?
9th,
The ninth.
June 9th and July
Y'all have to give
14th,
them
because I
a-
have both dates. Is
Okay.
that true?
We're gonna hold it up. I'm not gonna hear you.
Well, we could meet in July too,
Right, well, okay.
Like to.
Right now it'll be June 9th and
and
then.
then on the 14th.
Right.
Is that okay with you, Mr. Trustee?
Yes, yes, sir.
You okay with all the board members?
Yeah.
Meeting, so, another sort of agenda. In favor of adjournment? We adjourn.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Trustee.